Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing today? Chisa Drip Marketing is finally here, so we know that she is going to be playable in version 2.8 of Wuthering Waves, but, and I say this with a nice big juicy but, there is a lot of information hidden in Chisa's Drip Marketing, and a lot of information lore-wise of Wuthering Waves that we put together and we figure out exactly, or not exactly, but we figure out the logistics, the politics, and the idea of the story around version 3.0 onwards. So yeah, because there's quite a bit of information to go through, I'm just gonna get straight into the video. Alrighty, so first up, I think we're just going to go through all the details, both the hidden and the obvious details from Chisa's Drip Marketing. I think we start with the biggest one, and that is the faction or organization that Chisa belongs to. It has this like DNA kind of double helix structure with a right angle triangle as well. Now, there is a bit extra on this Drip Marketing, which is a star and this weird little symbol. Let me see if I can change the contrast quickly. All right, there we go. I've changed the contrast and brightness just a bit so you can see this. This isn't even a torch. I would say it's like starlight, maybe, to represent the academy, because the name of Chisa's academy is Starlight Academy, but I'm not too sure. So perhaps we're going to have like these little extra symbols with all these characters from 3.0 onwards to represent like what part of society they're in. So Chisa would be in the Starlight Academy. Then maybe we have some elders that are part of high society, or some mercenaries and lowlifes like Kalcharo once was. And the caption along with this is, "I will sever this deadlock." Deadlock obviously meaning like a stalemate or a place or period in time where there is no moving forward because of conflict, whether it's political, whether it's two parties that just can't agree on something, whatever the reason, there is a deadlock. In the background, we have this urban city style, and this is kind of as expected from the new federation, or from what we knew about the new federation, is it's the society, they have AI. It's more of a scientific community than a Renaissance, eco, harmony, nature type of community. Then we also have this black hole type of sun, which we've seen in Hualong before. We have some cranes to potentially indicate that it is a ever-growing city or ever-developing city that we're actually going to be going to. And we see Hamaltitul and Chisa herself. Now on Chisa, there is a symbol here in the back, but unfortunately, because it's Drip Marketing, you can't read the words. However, this is like a big X type of thing, and you can make out that these are two different words. So potentially new federation. We don't know yet, but that's definitely two words, and the first word is much shorter than the second word. So something like new federation makes sense, but Starlight Academy would not make sense. And then we get to the piece of information that ties every single piece of lore and idea together, and that is the golden ratio over here. So the golden ratio, for those who don't know what it is this number here, 1.618, and it's got way more decimal places because it is an irrational number. This number appears throughout math, science, architecture, art, and nature, all over. In some cases, it's called the divine ratio because it represents purity and perfection. So keep this in mind that we have the golden ratio here present in Chisa's Drip Marketing. Alright, then we have the Drip Marketing video, which has one massive extra piece of detail. And if we go through the time here, we see the weapon. This is Chisa's weapon, her Beyblade, or literally her multi-tool. I call it a multi-tool because it's like a ruler, scissors, protractor, a whole bunch of tools all together. And the main part to highlight here, and this is really special because we don't usually see text like this rendered in Drip Marketing. So this is pretty special, and this is a new transcript, the new Federation transcript, I'm guessing, for Wuthering Waves. So I'm just going to rotate this quickly. The direction in which this is read is, this is the top, this is the bottom, and it is read in that direction. So we're going to quickly just rotate this boom, that is how you read it. So top, bottom, and then left to right. All right, so from this, we can actually start to decode what is the new transcript and what these letters are. So the style of this transcript is dots instead of curves or little accents, like that curve there, that curve there, that curve there. That is the style being used for little accents like that. But anyway, as we can see, this is going to be the C. So the C is like that with a little dot. That is what the new federation, I'm calling it the new federation C, is going to look like. Then we have this over here. So that is the C. Oh, that's way too thick. All right. That is the C. That is the H. That is the I. And that is the S. So it's split like that. And there we have it. CHISA. So when we have the 3.0 special program, we'll be able to look at the characters, fill in the rest, and then decode everything that's hidden in this transcript. And just one thing to notice, see how the C has like this curve that's going up it? And this is this a little like cornered off section for the A. That is why the C has this dot over here and the A does not. That's how we know it's a C and an A. The D will probably be something like this with a line and a dot. All right, now we're going to talk about the juicy lore bits and the social structure of the story and society for presumably New Federation. Now, I've mentioned the 4 humors before in previous videos talking about the lore and basically how Runasita follows the air or the wind. And then we have the Sanguis Plateau. Now, in the recent versions, Kura have been using the word sanguine, which is a derivative or another word for blood. They've been using this word quite a lot. We had Sanguis Plateau, which is the place of the hunt, which is basically saying blood plateau. So one is because of the color, that orangish color, which is thanks to iron if you have an actual chemical composition. And iron is also in blood. So there's a lot of layers of meaning for Sanguis Plateau, both referring to the hunt, the loss of lives because of the dark tide, and foreshadowing, the story that happened. With the new Federation and Wuthering Waves 3.0, so far it looks most likely that we'll be experiencing the Earth humor. So story relating to these themes in the humor. Melancholy, which in a societal role is dissociation, depression, dystopian. Saturn, which again represents dissociation and this high society and low society. There's Earth, there's the old age, there's the cold and dry, and we also have the Cyberpunk Edge Runners DLC, or not DLC, but collaboration happening. And Cyberpunk itself fits in with all of this. So Earth is instead replaced with electro and electricity, and everything else about Cyberpunk and the cyber universe is represented by this humor. And so the idea behind Cyberpunk and the universe created by CD Projekt Red comes from William Gibson's book called Neuromancer. This book right here. It is the stepping stone and the pioneer of the cyberpunk universe or genre. Not specifically Cyberpunk 2077, but the entire theme and genre of cyberpunk comes from Neuromancer. In this book, there is a high society and low society, and those who want to achieve the high society status and want to be accepted by high society go through the prestigious academy. Here's a quick, very short summary of how Cyberpunk is related to Neuromancer or shows that it's taken inspiration from Neuromancer. A netrunner named Case, which is V in Cyberpunk, is hired by a mysterious fixer named Armitage, Mr. Blue Eyes, or I believe it is Faraday in Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Yeah, it's Faraday. To help steal the construct of a dead man, which is Dixie or Johnny, played by Keanu Reeves. from SenseNet or Arasaka. So Arasaka is this prestigious company, and they go through the academy to get their students up to date with the best knowledge, the most advanced technology and chip, I would say. I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now. In order to further the intentions of an AI, which is Wintermute in Neuromancer or else in Cyberpunk. Now, I do have a video planned for the Cyberpunk collab, so I'm not going to explain everything here. But the question that now comes to mind is, what is the cause for creating this type of world and the idea behind this? And that originates from the idea of Talos or the Talos principle. Talos in literature is the oldest known automaton. So what this means, it's humanity's first or oldest theory or concept of creating the perfect human or the perfect offspring, I would say. I don't know, perfect creation. So when we look at a story like Cyberpunk, it's about perfecting humanity. You go to the Ripperdoc, you get your upgrades, and that is all about becoming the perfect human specimen. So the world in the future, where everyone can just upgrade themselves, would look like this, with a dystopian underworld or low life, and then a high society as well. And that is where the deadlock could be coming, is how do we move forward for both societies, as they'll want different things. So when we look at it in terms of Wuthering Waves, well, we have artificial intelligence in the new Federation. We have this deadlock. We have Starlight Academy, which is going to be the key for the young generation to becoming wise and knowledgeable and can work in the high society. And we have this chase for perfection, and it's perfection that is engineered, so it's scientific, and obviously there's DNA, so it's obviously biological as well. It's the coming together of all of that to create the perfect resonator. Now, if we go and have a look at this current event, the Solaris Soldier, and we actually go to the gallery and look at the items, if we have a look at these items, we can actually see things that relate to engineering perfection or engineering the human. Like this. This is almost like the Mantis arm from Cyberpunk. And here again, even on this weapon, we have Sanguine Wheel, which is basically just saying blood wheel. Now, to put this all together, because it's a lot of information that I've just been speaking of, we are moving to the new Federation, it seems, that is filled with science and AI and an engineered approach to resonance. So we could be seeing a resonator, or the idea of the perfect resonator. Whether the Academy, Starlight Academy, is focused on creating artificially or engineering the perfect resonator, and this could be affected by the Sentinel or the Threnodian. As an example of this, there are two characters that are very popular in Marvel at the moment that reflect this idea of humanity, of perfection or creating perfection to better human life and just to represent the perfect human. The first is Adam Warlock, and the second is Ultron. Ultron is supposed to be the perfect AI, but of course it doesn't go perfect because humanity is a threat to artificial intelligence.
But I created something terrible. Artificial intelligence.
So Adam Warlock is the first of the perfect humans. He's the first ever perfect human, the complete form. He was given the name Adam, one, because he's supposed to represent males, and two, he's given the name Adam thanks to Adam and Eve. That's something that happens very often in story writing, especially in games of recent. So if we are going to be making the perfect resonator in the new Federation, whether it's the Sentinel's resonator or whether it is the Threnodian's resonator or something along those lines, their name will possibly be based on Adam, Eve, or Lilith. The same way that Galbrina's name is the feminine version of Gabriel, who in a lot of religions is the Archangel. So yeah, that is all for the Chisa Drip marketing and this pre-Wuthering Waves 3.0 breakdown. We have the four humors, with the Earth humor possibly representing Electro. We have the idea of perfection from the Golden Ratio. We have a new urban city or night city type of vibe going on, quite different from Renacita, which was more in tune with nature. We have an academy, Starlight Academy, focused on human research and I guess human development. And we have society in what is a deadlock. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of Chisa? What do you think of 3.0? Are you excited? And I will see you in the next video.